Okay, welcome back to the deep dive. For this one, we've got some really interesting source material, um, appendices and exercises from a book dealing with personal integration,
Hmm.
and some pretty big ideas about, well, cosmic wisdom.
That's right. And there's a thread running through it all that's just fundamental, really. It's this idea that, real wisdom isn't just stuff you collect in your head.
Right.
It has to be lived,
Yeah.
embodied. You have to put it into action. It's like knowing about swimming versus actually being able to swim.
Yeah, exactly. The source uses this great dragon analogy. A dragon doesn't just think about fire, it actually breathes it. It can't just be a warm thought.
Hmm.
So our goal today is to really jump into what these appendices call the alchemist's laboratory. Think of it like a practical toolkit.
Hmm.
We're going to explore these specific tools, these exercises that are designed for, real world use and actual transformation.
Yeah, we'll break down what these tools are, how they're presented in the source, and maybe most importantly, the approach that's suggested for using them consistently. The idea is to give you a clear, actionable understanding. So you can see how maybe you could take these concepts from theory and make them real in your own life.
Okay, so let's start where the source starts, really. The foundation seems to be this idea of embodied wisdom.
Right. Moving past just like intellectual grasping. That's exactly why these appendices are there. They offer additional tools and exercises specifically to deepen your personal integration and accelerate your transformation.
A personal training ground. I like that framing.
Yeah, it's a place to actually, hone the skills.
And the source mentions Dr. DeMartini's work as a big influence here. It talks about his focus on the practical application of universal laws.
Hmm.
It even says these methods aim to rewire your brain, dissolve emotional charges, and align your life with your highest values. That sounds pretty substantial, tangible change.
It is about tangible change, and that's where this collection comes in, this alchemist's toolkit of specific exercises.
Okay, so let's unpack that toolkit. What's the first tool we find?
First up, we have the expanded dragon trials. They're described as more detailed and varied versions of exercises that might have shown up earlier in the book.
Dragon trials sounds intense, like facing something challenging.
That's the idea, I think. Facing the fire, as you said earlier, their purpose is really to guide you into deeper introspection and consistent application.
Okay, application of what exactly?
Well, things like balancing perceptions, seeing both sides of things, the good and the bad. Also, transmuting emotions, which is more about shifting your relationship to difficult feelings, not just being swept away.
Ah, okay.
And also challenging limiting judgments about yourself, about others, about situations. The key is engaging directly with your own experiences, not just thinking about them.
Right, direct engagement. Makes sense. Now, the source calls the next tool the core alchemical process. That sounds important. The DeMartini method. It even gives steps.
Yes, this one's presented as really central. Its main job is dissolving emotional charges.
Emotional charges, like leftover feelings about stuff.
Exactly. Unresolved energy, maybe. Static around a past event or person that still gets a reaction out of you. The method itself uses a structured series of questions and reflections.
Okay, but how do questions dissolve a charge? What's the mechanism there?
So the process guides you to find the equal and opposite benefits and drawbacks in whatever it is that's triggering you, the person, the event, the situation.
Finding the good and the bad and the bad and the good.
Sort of, yeah. By systematically looking at both sides, really digging in, you start to gain perspective. You balance out how you see it. And often, the source suggests that intense emotional energy just neutralizes.
So you're not changing what happened.
Yeah.
You're changing how you feel about what happened, your reaction to it.
Precisely. The outcome described is liberating yourself from the past and embracing the balanced perfection of the universe.
Hmm.
Big words, but it means finding peace with it so you can move forward.
Fascinating. Okay, so that deals with the past, but there's also a tool for the present and future, the value determination process worksheet.
Yeah, this one's very practical, like an actual guided exercise on paper, or digitally, I suppose. Its whole purpose is to help you precisely identify and clarify your true hierarchy of values.
Why is that so important?
Well, the source argues it's crucial for understanding your authentic motivations, knowing what really drives you. That way you can make aligned decisions and live a life that genuinely inspires you from the inside out.
Instead of just doing what you think you should do or what others expect.
Exactly. Living based on external expectations versus your own core values.
That feels really fundamental. Okay, what else is in this alchemist's toolkit?
We've also got daily reflection prompts. described as concise, powerful questions.
Like journal prompts, maybe?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
The idea is to use them regularly, daily, to guide your self-reflection practice, to help you consistently observe your thoughts, emotions, and actions, but through this specific lens of, well, they call it cosmic alchemy.
Okay, what does that mean in practice? Observing through that lens.
It seems to mean noticing how your inner world, your thoughts, feelings, connects with your outer experiences and actions, fostering that continuous awareness and conscious choice rather than just, reacting automatically all day.
Right, moving from autopilot to conscious steering.
And then supporting all of this, there are the meditation and breathwork guides.
Ah, the foundational stuff.
Exactly. They're presented as simple, accessible instructions for different techniques. But their role is described as vital. They're called sacred practices, essential for cultivating inner stillness, calming the mind, releasing energetic blockages,
And connecting more deeply.
and deepening your connection to universal consciousness.
Yeah.
The source calls them foundational disciplines, because you often need that inner calm and focus to even use the other tools effectively.
You need the quiet space inside to do the work. Makes sense. And lastly, there's a reading list.
Yes, a recommended reading and resources section. It's basically a curated list if you want to delve even deeper into the ideas. It guides your continued learning journey if you choose to take it.
Okay, so we have this impressive laboratory, this toolkit. Expanded Dragon Trials, DeMartini Method, Values Worksheet, Reflection Prompts, Meditation. But the source is really clear, isn't it? Just having the tools isn't the point.
Not at all.
It introduces what it calls the alchemist's commitment and frames this as the final overarching trial. This is where it gets real.
Absolutely. This is the call to practice, consistent practice. And the source breaks it down very clearly. First step, choose a daily practice.
Just one.
Just one. Pick one tool or exercise from the appendix that resonates with you. Maybe it's applying the DeMartini method to one small irritation each day, or maybe just 10 minutes of mindful breathing, or using one of those daily reflection prompts each evening.
Okay, focusing on one makes it seem doable, less overwhelming.
I think that's the point. Then, step 2, commit to consistency. You commit to doing that one practice every single day.
Every day.
Every day for the next 21 days.
Ah, the 21-day habit thing.
Exactly. The source specifically mentions this duration, suggesting it's often enough to begin forming a new neural pathway, a new habit of conscious living. It's about actually carving out a new pattern in your brain behavior.
So it explicitly links it to the neuroscience. That's interesting.
It does. It grounds the suggestion. And while you're doing this daily practice, the third step is observe your evolution.
How do you do that?
Keep a journal or some kind of log during those 21 days. The source encourages you to note down any shifts in your perception, your emotional state, your responses to challenges, or any new insights that pop up.
So you're consciously tracking the effects of the practice.
Right. You're paying attention to the transformation as it happens. And then finally, step 4, celebrate your mastery.
Okay.
At the end of the 21 days, you take time to reflect on the whole process. The source prompts you to ask yourself, how did this consistent practice actually transform me? What new levels of clarity, peace, or power did I access? It's about acknowledging the progress, recognizing the change.
That consistent effort, the commitment, the source calls that the true path to embodying cosmic alchemy and becoming the conscious architect of your destiny. That's where the theory hits the ground.
That's the message. It's turning knowing into being. And just quickly, for those interested in the why behind these tools, the source does briefly list the underlying principles.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it mentions Dr. John DeMartini's methodologies, of course, but also points to influences from cognitive behavioral therapy, particularly around habit formation, mindfulness, and meditation traditions, something called experiential learning theory, which is basically learning by doing. And as we mentioned, the neuroscience of habit formation.
So it's trying to show these aren't just pulled out of thin air. They're grounded in established fields.
Right. It gives them a foundation.
Oh.
So really, bringing this all together, the core message from exploring these appendices seems crystal clear. The real power isn't just knowing this stuff intellectually.
Right.
It's in the consistent, conscious application. Turning that abstract wisdom into, like, your actual lived reality.
These appendices, these exercises, they're not just extra reading material.
No, they're presented as your forge, your anvil, and your hammer, tools you're meant to pick up and use diligently, with consistency, to, as the source puts it, sculpt the magnificent reality that awaits you.
And it even suggests this personal work isn't just for you, right? It describes this kind of transformation as a radiant contribution to the evolving consciousness of all humanity. Like your inner work ripples outwards.
Absolutely. That's a powerful idea. So maybe here's a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on, drawing right from this material we've looked at.
Okay.
How might dedicating just a small, consistent slice of your time, say, committing to just one of these practices daily for the next 21 days,
Uh,
how might that fundamentally shift your relationship with life's challenges? How might it unlock potential you haven't tapped into? How could it help you truly turn theory into your own embodied mastery?